In this video, I want to talk about why 6-1 and other similar style defenses are almost always going to be one of the metas and one of the more annoying metas in Madden and EA College Football 25, which is coming out here in a few months. I've played competitive Madden for over 5 years. I've been a top 100 ranked player during that time. I've won tens of thousands of dollars doing this, and I've always seen 3-4 odd, 3-4 bear, and 4-3-6-1 be a meta in any given year, right? And it's not always all of those, right? 3-4 bear hasn't been meta in a few years, but 3-4 bear, 3-4 odd, and 4-3-6-1 are all very, very similar to each other in that they're compressed defenses that stack and overload the line of scrimmage. And so, what do I mean by that? If you can picture 6-1 in your brain right now, if you can't, imagine four defensive linemen who have their hands in the dirt right across from the offensive line. Picture two linebackers outside of them. So now we have six people there. And now picture a middle linebacker who is standing right over top of the center and basically on the line of scrimmage. We have seven people on the line of scrimmage, all essentially shading on top of the offensive lineman. Even outside linebackers are just barely outside of the tackles, meaning that everybody's on the line of scrimmage. What this means from a blitzing standpoint is that simply by blitzing six people and using that middle linebacker who's over top of the center, you are essentially going to blitz seven, or the offensive lineman will feel like it's seven. Because if I'm standing right here and you're an offensive lineman just looking at me and the ball is snapped, if I just go literally just like one little head fake down, you are going to hesitate right here on me for a moment. And then the rest of the blitz is coming, right? And super technically, you might be sliding, you might be shifting, you might be saying the halfback's gonna pick me up, but nonetheless, you guys see how I'm just by being on the line of scrimmage and doing just hesitating, I'm going to manipulate the offensive line and the overall pass protection, at least to a small extent. Okay, and that's just something that is very popular in real life as well. We saw a few years ago the Miami Dolphins sit in essentially like a double A gap type look against. I can't remember who it was, but there's a few viral videos of this. And it's just a thing that will consistently always be good, especially in Madden, because offensive line logic isn't that good, and it's just a pretty advanced thing, right? Just by blitzing six, you're gonna be able to get it in on six. Now, the way you counter it a lot of times is by blocking seven, which a lot of people just don't want to do. But the style of defense has a few, what do we call it? It has a few vulnerabilities, right? So I talked about how this defense has seven people just sitting in the box, almost all within the tackles. So what does that mean? That means that we only have four people who are not in that situation. Two on the right, two on the left. So unless they're man aligned, immediately if we came out in a trips tight end style set or just three wide receivers to the same side, we're gonna have three wide receivers, ideally spread out, as opposed to only two DBs on that side. And you see how we can start playing numbers games already, right? Because that outside linebacker, a lot of the times, cannot be a good flat defender. The reason people like slot corners so much in Madden, the reason Dollar is always so good, is because Dollar, the slot corner, can blitz, right? And he's pretty good. But the slot corner can also play all types of coverage. He can easily defend the hard flat. He can easily defend a little bit deeper. He can easily be a vert hook. An outside linebacker who's now closer to that line of scrimmage cannot get as far out as a slot corner can, or at least cannot get as far out as fast as a slot corner can. So hitting quick flats against these styles of offenses are really, really good. The next thing is that in the running game, if we can break that first wave of defenders, how many people are there, right? Imagine this. Imagine you run stretch, they blitz six or blitz seven, and everybody's behind you now. You just have to make a safety and a corner miss, right? It's why RPOs are one of the best ways to attack the style of overload defense, because if you're running an RPO and I'm blitzing six people at you and my user is that seventh person, but he's over top of the offensive line, there's only four people to defend the RPO. Immediately, I'm making this a little foot race between my RPO. I have two blockers, right? So that's two defenders out of the way. Now one juke move or something, and I'm gone. I'm out of there, right? But what's really started making 6-1 good as the years gone on this year is, yeah, and mind you, it's not good in regs, but it's that we have these lurk artist outside linebackers who can out jump, who can one snag balls in the flats, and now they're getting discounted KO abilities, which is allowing them to start knocking passes out, which is allowing them to start actually playing the flats, get there late, and make a hit and be able to play it. right? That's what's trying to make it so good. And we also always have the availability, and you'll see really good Madden players do this, of just taking those outside linebackers and dragging them out. And whenever you can get these outside linebackers to start playing coverage like a slot corner, which usually comes from having abilities on them of some sort, then we can go from one of the best blitzes in the game, which is a pure overload. Everybody's coming, to going full coverage. We have four DBs. These can be four super DBs, but now we have two outside linebackers who are super outside linebackers who have abilities on them, whatever, whatever. They're able to play. So then we just have four people rushing the passer and a user, and we're in max coverage. But the next step that's making this super good is that we can actually, in Madden Ultimate Team, take a defensive end and put him into a hook curl. And with the ability to lurk artist, he's actually going to do a really, really good job of this. I remember back in Madden 20, I ran 3-4 Bear as my salary cap defense. And in salary cap, I had a bunch of defensive. I had three defensive linemen, and I had four linebackers. Only two of my linebackers could actually make a play on the ball. They're like only two linebackers who were actually like a decent overall. I had five people on my field at all times who could not play pass coverage at all. 3-4 Bear was really good as a blitz back in Madden 20, but it was terrible in coverage because at all times, especially in salary cap where things were a little bit different because you can only pay so much. Um, we only had I only had six defenders who could play pass coverage. Even if I wanted to go full coverage, I had five bumbling idiots on the field at all times. Right now in Ultimate Team and in 4-3-6-1, we're able to really have 11 good defenders because everybody can get lurk artists at this point, which I don't love. It's just how it's worked out. It's May, so I don't really care as much, right? Because this really wasn't a huge issue or not even a huge thing until a little bit deeper in the year. So I'm not really worried about it. But yeah, think about that. Where we're going from the best blitz in the game to be able to play pure drop eight in coverage style defense. Mabel 30-yard flat, 5-yard flat, 30-yard flat, 5-yard flat, hook curl, deep half, user, all from the exact same look. And if you're in the Patriots playbook, it's why I'm using Patriots playbook right now in all my videos. You can do this while making minimal adjustments. Like you can set it up pretty much within like 3 clicks. And that's, I'm pretty big on running defenses that everybody can run, right? I don't like, I see a lot of people run defenses that like involve a bunch of cross manning or a bunch of adjusting, outside third here, cross man there, middle, whatever, that. I don't really like doing that just because like I think it's unrealistic for people to get all that stuff in, and I struggle with making a bunch of adjustments at once. And so we're able to do that all from the same look. But the thing that I want to make very, very clear is that it all comes back to having a really good blitz. If you can get pressure in Madden while not giving up anything else super extremely, right? Some things might get given up, but if you get pressure in Madden and you have good run defense, which 6-1 does because it just overloads the line, so a lot of people will just come free, which is pretty stupid. You will be able to play a really good style of defense in Madden. You can do the same thing from a lot of stuff. You could run 3-4 odd this year, very similar to how people are running 4-3-6-1. Maybe it's not as good. And the same thing with it actually is Bear in the game. I don't know if Bear's even. I want to say maybe they changed the name of Bear or something like that, or they took out a play or something that used to be called quite a bit in that. But it's the same idea. And for as long as these formations are in the game, they're gonna be somewhat meta, and they're super polarizing because they happen so fast. They just scream, they're just bang, they're just in there, right? And so that's why you see it be that way. Now, the reason it's not always the overwhelming meta is because it is exploitable, right? Some of those things we talked about earlier, some of the flats, some of the coverage stuff, some of the RPO stuff. Only reason it's become the overwhelming meta probably right now as opposed to dollar at this point in the year is just because all of these cards that have came out, like I said, have totally gotten rid of all of the deficiencies of that defense. So hope that made sense. Hope that was a little bit educational to you guys. If you enjoyed, consider hitting that subscribe button. It is free. And also check out civil.gg. We have full schemes where their members get access to literally everything. And code new defense 30 will get you 30% off a new membership over there. All right, boys. I'll see you there. See you in the next one.